Bully. Hello YouTube, Bellers91 here, and today we'll be talking about all 25 of the Gigantamax Pokemon you can get so far, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. And up first we have fan favourite Charizard. I prefer the shiny version rather than the regular. I just think the shiny version looks more badass, and this is what it turns into. And this is G-Max Charizard. I think it looks absolutely terrible. They've just added more flames basically. Its G-Max move is called G-Max Wildfire, which hurts opponents for the next 4 turns after use. And this is a location where you can find yourself a Gigantamax Charizard in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. It's in the Lake of Rage, in the, well, I suppose you call it the crown point in the middle. And up next we have Butterfree. I prefer the regular version more than the shiny. I just think the shiny is pointless, to be fair. This is what Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Butterfree. I like the Gigantamax version better than the normal version. I just think it looks more majestic. Its move is called G-Max Befuddle, which either poisons, paralyzes, or puts to sleep the opponent. So there are 2 locations where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Butterfree. They're both in the rolling fields. First of all, it's in this location here. And here is the second location. You can get yourself Gigantamax Butterfree in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Up next, and the mascot of Pokemon, Pikachu. I like his shiny form better. I think the colour just stands out more on the shiny version. This is what Gigantamax is into. And this is Fat Pikachu. Oh, I meant Gigantamax Pikachu. Basically, it's exactly the same as a normal Pikachu, but just fat. His move is called G-Max Volt Crash, which paralyzes the opponent. The way you can get Gigantamax Pikachu is talk to the woman in the Wild Area Station if you have a save data of Let's Go Pikachu. This is Team Rocket's Pokemon, Meowth. I don't have any preference between the normal and the shiny. They both look very similar. This is what Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Meowth. It's just a normal Meowth just stretched out. His G-Max move is called G-Max Gold Rush, which confuses the opponent and gives you extra money at the end of the battle. The way to get Gigantamax Meowth for your game is by going to the mystery gift get via internet. The only problem is with it is that it ran out on January the 15th, 2020. Up next we have Big Armed Machamp. I prefer the normal version rather than the shiny. The shiny just looks like an ill Machamp. This is what Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Machamp. Again, it looks relatively the same as the normal version, just a bit bigger arms. Smaller legs though, definitely not doing leg days at the gym. Is Gigantamax, which is called G-Max Chi Strike, which gives you a bigger chance of a critical hit. To get Gigantamax Machamp for your game, you must have Pokemon Sword, and it's in the Stony Wilderness in this location. Up next is one of my favourite Pokemon, Gengar. I like the normal version better than the shiny. The shiny don't really give it justice, to be fair, but wait till you see what Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Gengar. It's personally one of my favourite Gigantamax versions. It might be biased because I really like Gengar. His move is called G-Max Terror, which stops opponents from fleeing the battle. This is the location you can find yourself a Gigantamax Gengar. You must have Pokemon Shield, and it's in the Stony Wilderness, the same place as Gigantamax Machamp. Up next we have Kingler, bit of a different one. I prefer the normal version rather than the shiny. I think the shiny just looks horrible. It looks like it's sick. This is what Gigantamax is into. Is Gigantamax Kingler. I just think it looks really old. It's an old Kingler. The normal version is still better than the shiny. The shiny still looks ill. Just looks like an ill old man. His G-Max move is called G-Max Foam Burst, and it reduces the speed of the opponent. There is 2 locations where you can find yourself a Gigantamax Kingler. First one being here in Westlake Axwell, and the other location is here in South Lake Millock. Up next we have Lapras. I prefer the normal version rather than the shiny, just because if they would have made the shiny a bit more purple, I think it would have been brilliant. It's just a bit too light. This is what Gigantamax is into. Gigantamax Lapras. What have they done to it? Why have they shot such a majestic looking Pokemon? His move is called Gmax Renaissance, which reduces damage for 5 turns on this Pokemon. This is a location where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Lapras. It's in Shield only, and it's in the Giant Seat. And up next, we got another fan favourite, Eevee. I prefer the regular version rather than the shiny. The shiny just looks horrible. This is what a Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Eevee. It's the same as normal Eevee, just a bit fluffier. Its Gmax move is called Gmax Cuddle, which makes the opposition Pokemon fall in love. So the way you get Gigantamax Eevee is near enough the same as how you get Pikachu. You just gotta have a save copy of Let's Go Eevee on your Nintendo Switch. Up next we have Snorlax. So I prefer the shiny more than the regular. I just think it gives it a bit more colour. This is what Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Snorlax. So I prefer the shiny version better with the autumn sort of look to the tree and stuff. Its Gmax move is called Gmax Replenish, which restores berries that have been eaten in battle. There is no special place where you can find yourself a Snorlax, as it was a special event. And up next we have Garbodor. I quite like the design of this Pokemon, to be fair. There's a lot of hate for it, but I quite like it. I love a shiny version. I just think it brings out loads of colour. This is what a Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Garbodor. Again, I really like the design. This is another one of my favourite Gigantamaxes in Pokemon. Its move is called Gmax Malador, which poisons all opponents. This is a location where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Garbodor. It's in the East Lake Axwell. Up next we have a Corviknight. So I like both versions of Corviknight, the shiny and non-shiny. Yeah, it's just a cool looking Pokemon. This is what a Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Corviknight. I like both versions again. Don't really like the Gigantamax version of it. It just looks like he's got his arms out farther, or his wings, sorry. Its move is called Gmax Wind Rage, which removes moves like Reflect and Light Screen. This is a location you can get yourself a Gigantamax Corviknight. It's only in Shield, but it's in the Giant's Cap. Up next we have Orbital. I like its normal version better than its shiny. It looks more like a ladybug. This is what a Gigantamax is into. This is Gmax Orbital. It looks like a UFO. I don't particularly like it, but I don't dislike it. Its Gmax mode is called Gmax Gravitas, which causes gravity for 5 turns. There are 2 locations where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Orbital. The first one being here, in the Dappled Grove. And the second location is here, in Bridgefield. Up next we have Dreadnought. I like its normal version better than its shiny. I think it's that green colouring I don't like. Just makes him look like an ill Pokemon. This is what a Gigantamax is into. This is Gmax Dreadnought. It looks the same as normal Dreadnought, just stood up on 2 feet rather than 4. Its Gmax move is called Gmax Stone Surge, which is basically Stealth Rocks. The way to get yourself a Gigantamax Dreadnought is only on Pokemon Sword, and it's in this location in the Giant's Cape. Up next we have Colossal. I like his normal version better than its shiny. I think they could have done a lot better with his shiny version. This is what a Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Colossal. I don't really like it. It just looks like they haven't really put no effort into making it look better. Its Gmax move is called Gmax Volcalyph, which hurts opponents for the next 4 turns. The location where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Colossal, it's only in Sword, and it's in this location in the Giant's Seat. Up next we have Falapple. I like its shiny version. It reminds me of a Granny Smith apple. This is what Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Falapple. I like the design now. He's just closed back in his apple. Its move is called Gmax Tartness, which reduces evasiveness of the opposing Pokemon. This is a location where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Falapple. It's in Sword only, and it's in this location at the Dappled Grove. Up next is Appleton. I really don't like this Pokemon. It's probably my least favourite Pokemon in the new series. But anyway, let's see what a Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Appleton. I know, it's exactly the same as Falapple. I don't know why Pokemon Company have did this, but Yep, his move is called Gmax Sweetness, which heals all allies' conditions. And not only does the Gigantamax look the same, but the location for Appleton is also in the Dapple Grove, but is only in Shield. Up next we have Sanaconda. I like the design of this Pokemon. Yeah, I ain't got nothing bad to say about it really. This is what Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Sanaconda. I like it because it looks like a sandstorm, basically a snake in a sandstorm. Its Gmax move is called Gmax Sandblast, which causes a sandstorm for 5 turns. This is a location where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Sanaconda. It's at the Dusty Bowl in this location. Up next we have Toxtricity. It's one of those Pokemon at the start, when I first seen it, I didn't like it. The more I played with it and the more I seen it, the more I do like it. It's got 2 different appearances, and this is what a Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Toxtricity. Yeah, I like it. I reckon it looks really good. It's one of my favourite Gigantamaxes so far. His Gmax move is called Gmax Stun Shock, which poisons or paralyzes the opponent. Also, this Pokemon don't have a specific location. It was just a special event. Up next is Center Scorch. I like the design again of this Pokemon. I prefer the normal rather than the shiny. I don't really get the blue colouring on its back. This is what a Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Center Scorch. So, I quite like the design actually. It looks like a Chinese dragon. You know, the ones they put up in the air with poles and stuff. His Gmax move is called Gmax Centinferno, which traps the opponent in flames for 5 turns. And this is a location where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Center Scorch. It's in the Stony Wilderness. Up next is Tureen. I'm not too keen on this Pokemon, to be fair. Don't really like it shiny or as normal. Let's have a look what he Gigantamax is into, or she, sorry. This is Gigantamax Hatterene. I like it better than the original. I really don't like the original, so it can't really get much better. Its Gmax move is called Gmax Smite, which confuses all opponent. And this is a location where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Hatterene. It's in Bridgefield. Up next is Grimstar, my favourite Pokemon from Generation 8. I really like a shiny version. It looks like an albino. This is what a Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Grimsnarl. I really like the Gigantamax as well as the normal version. It's still, in my opinion, the best new Pokemon in Gen 8. His Gmax move is called Gmax Snooze, which puts the opponent to sleep next turn. And this is a location where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Grimsnarl. It's here in the Dusty Bowl. Up next is Alcremie. I really don't like this Pokemon. The design don't like nothing about it. I do like it's shiny though. Its shiny looks pretty cool. This is what a Gigantamax is into. And this is Gigantamax Alcremie. I like it better than its normal version, believe it or not. Just looks like a big, I suppose, layered cake. Its Gmax move is called Gmax Finale, which heals HP of all the allies. And this is a location where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Alcremie. This is a location in Bridgefield. Up next is Copperaja. I like the design of this Pokemon, to be fair. They needed a elephant Pokemon. I like the regular better than the shiny. And this is what Gigantamax is into. This is Gigantamax Copperaja. So I like the original better than the Gigantamax version. It's just got a bigger nose. Its Gmax move is called Gmax Still Surge, which basically is the same as Stealth Rocks. And this is a location you can get yourself a Gigantamax Copperaja. It's in the Stony Wilderness. And last but not least, it's Drawladan. Yeah, it's okay Pokemon. It's quite a good design. Yeah, sorry if I got the name wrong. It's really hard to say. But let's see what Gigantamax is into. And this is Gigantamax Drawladon. Yeah, I quite like it. It's a bit different, I suppose. It just looks like a skyscraper. Its Gmax move is Gmax Depletion, which reduces PP of the last used move. And this is where you can get yourself a Gigantamax Drawladon at the Giant Seat. So that's the end of the video. Thanks once again for all you watching. Leave a like if you liked it, obviously. Subscribe to my channel. That's a good idea. More videos coming your way. Good night, YouTube. Sweet dreams.